everyone, Kuro the Artist here, and welcome back to another Ben 10 Breakdown. Alien Force's Season 2 finale wraps up in Part 2 of War of the Worlds, where the team attempt to put an end to a galaxy-wide hybrid invasion. I've already done a lengthy intro in the last breakdown, which covered Part 1 of War of the Worlds, so let's jump right into Part 2's breakdown. But real quick, I have a challenge for y'all. I've been making these breakdowns for over a year now, and have done 6 seasons and 3 movies so far. While the actual breakdown segments are based around my thoughts and opinions, I always try to stay unbiased during my rating segment, but inevitably there are people that disagree with some of my rankings. I figured with a year's worth of breakdowns, it's time to give the fans a chance to speak up. That's why for a limited time the next couple of days, there will be a temporary channel in the Ink Tank Discord where you can post my ratings that you disagree with, or simply if you have any further questions about something you may not have understood during my breakdowns. And yes, you are free to ask about non-breakdown videos as well. Basically anything that we've ever made on the channel, and you have something you want to say to us about it, now's the time to bring it up. Next week I'll be making a video acknowledging a lot of these assessments, and I look forward to the discussions that we'll have. And hey, if you make a solid enough case, I might just change my ratings, but don't count on it. On March 27th, 2008, the 2-part finale by Dwayne McDuffie titled War of the Worlds had premiered. In Part 2, the trio make their way to the Hybrid Command Tower to try to convince them to call off the warships. The present commanding Hybrid advises them that he doesn't have the power to do so and would need to travel to their home planet in order to pull off such a daring demand. They're briefly reunited with Max and his Null Void crew, which gives them the opportunity to escape and use ship to travel all the way to Augustus. It is Augustus, right? That's not like the friggin' Willy Wonka guy. Augstaka. Alright. To make their way to Augstaka. Good morning, Ben. Aside from Kevin's car, these CG ships look like their best CG work yet. Kind of parallels Ben 10 Returns Part 2. He wakes up in a ditch that he made from a larger transformation, and Gwen and Kevin come down to check him out.
New plan. We break into the hybrid control room and force the hybrid captain to make his ship's retreat.
That's more of an idea than a plan.
How many times have I beaten you?
Twice, but just at this moment, I can't imagine how.
Man, I really try not to love Darkstar as much as I do, because he's a straight up asshole, but he's just written so well.
We're gonna drive to the control tower?
Oh man, now this is some hype in its own regard.
When did you get all this stuff?
The way the roof gets covered in a black texture, then lit up by green lines, kind of mechamorphy.
Alien tech, I tossed it in the trunk.
Work on the car.
Which also has a realistic payoff, because you do see Kevin frequently working on his car throughout the 2 seasons. And here's our first real shot of the hybrid control tower. I don't think they've shown it beforehand. Even the upgraded Kevin car is done in CG, which means they could reuse it if they wanted to. Are they really trying to block him off with a truck? This is a pretty awesome shot.
Run to the control room.
The way this whole building is created, it looks like it was grown. Given that the hybrid are based on plants, I wonder if a lot of their technology is like somehow grown. It's not exactly hardware, just manipulated organic nature. Self-driving car. Oof. It is a bit anticlimactic that it gets destroyed almost instantly though. They didn't have to do it like that.
Gonna miss that car.
Although now it would have been an excuse to give him a new kind of car in the future episodes, but we later see he just buys the exact same kind of car.
Hybrid have starships and they haven't invented the elevator?
Facts, Gwen. When he absorbs the material off the wall, in the very last frame his eyes flickered dark.
It's hero time!
Finally! Almost forgot he even says that. And Swampfire gets his own transformation sequence. It's about time, too. A little simpler than I would have liked, but still looks pretty great. He even makes a similar pose to Ben 10 Returns. This is cool. What do you think the hybrid's doing up there? There's a lot of things going on in the backgrounds and in the foregrounds. This is one of the most detailed episodes of Alien Force. And Ben's theme plays throughout this.
Lesser species look alike to me.
Oh, the irony.
Call it off.
Okay.
Foolish children.
Yes, more martial arts. Look at that kick. She sends this guy flying. That is powerful.
No!
Aw, come on, Gwen. You know Swampfire can regenerate. This morph animation is alright. It's more fadey than a genuine morph. Still pretty good. Love the lighting change for the fire. So now a second hybrid comes into frame. Without the gray shoulder spikes, I would have assumed this is still the same guy they've been fighting the whole time. Man, this hybrid is really small. Remember when they were the same size as Humongosaur? Love the subtle hair movement right there. This is a pretty well-drawn angle in general.
Perhaps I'll finish your friend. Yes.
I've always loved the hand animation on this POV shot too. Very gently animated.
I said...
Oh snap, I never noticed this. But she's actually drawing mana out from him, like she's sucking his life force. And now it's coming into her, unleashing her anodite form. Sends him flying so far out into the distance. Now this was epic. We also get a nice parallel between these two shots, where from Kevin's POV looking at Gwen from a downward angle, just like Gwen looking at Kevin from this angle.
So much power.
This moment's almost tender, but you gotta remember Ben and the Hybrid are still going at it like a couple feet from him. You'd think that would be distracting from this moment.
I think I can defeat the Hybrid.
I can't tell if they're just layering the voices or if they recorded the same line over and over again, because it sounds like she's speaking very highly and then in a very low register and softer. And it sounds almost too distinct for it to be just simply a pitch shift.
I think I can defeat the Hybrid all by myself.
Just as a quick experimental test, this is me speaking only once and then layering the tracks multiple times and editing each track differently. And this is me speaking in multiple registers layered over each other. You see how there's a slight difference in inflection and tone with the second one? If it was just one audio track that they edited in a certain way, that's some really good audio editing.
Your grandmother said it would take at least 75 years for you to master that power.
A callback to what Her Little Girl's made of. It's like nearly every episode is referenced in this finale in some way.
You won't remember Ben or me.
Was that actually part of the deal? If so, that sucks. That changes everything from what I said in the last breakdown, but I don't recall memory loss being a factor.
You gotta come back to me. I can't lose you.
Oh, Kevin. This is a pretty great transformation right here. It seems in her anodite form, her eyes are much higher than they are in her human form, but they don't have to be one-to-one with each other. The hair goes gently back into place. Ben, switch forms.
You're finished.
More seeds. See, these ones are massively smaller than the ones in the last part. Now, those are some strong vines. This is like an upgraded hybrid, still being subdued by Swampfire's vine attack.
Invasion's over.
I always forget how tall he is compared to regular humans. He's like a tree.
I don't have the authority to call off the invasion.
It's good that they keep the ships moving in the background as well.
I'll try shoving them back with the shield.
I mean, just do it. You don't have to announce it.
You're in my way!
Manny.
This was a great surprise. Their team already felt pretty full with the people they had, but now we're introduced to even more characters that can help out. Helen's animation looks like she's just kind of gliding, though. Good stuff. Her feet has little hooks on them. Have they always been like that? And her visor, it's like a half visor. Accelerate seemed to rely on his visor when he was going super speed, but this is like the only time we see Helen's visor. And Pierce. Now that was fast, and some good tactical formation. Manny takes out the Dean aliens, Helen steals their guns, Pierce blows them up. That kind of training can only come from one person.
How's it going, kids?
Grandpa Max, accompanied by a nice little melody as well.
Grandpa Max.
And Max Force.
It's good to see Manny being a little more lighthearted than his last appearance. Seems like winning the war against the Void has really brightened him back up.
Thought you were gonna stay in the null void.
Pretty much got things under control there.
And just in time, too. I really love this like Star Wars style outfit for Max, too. Or should I say, the wrench.
The hyperspace jump gate is also a door in.
This chick right here was infected so badly she needed to be cured twice. See, some of them seem like they pass out after being cured. This guy is awake. He does not look happy to be here.
Answer it. It's important.
Paradox is still subtly guiding the events of this war.
Hello?
Where's he going now?
Can you hold the line here?
Consider it done.
Now Ben's giving Max orders. What a change of events.
Ben!
Man, Ben really likes faking Max out by jumping off of ledges.
About time I got to drive.
Yeah, I mean, Ship drives himself, Ben.
The Omnitrix unprotected.
Ben worries about you, too.
Azimuth opens his mouth randomly when he turns to Gwen.
I'm going to change into my flight suit.
Now that is a tiny hologram.
Brainstorm! This is obviously the correct form to pilot this vehicle.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that, Ben.
You inferring that you're smarter than me?
I'm implying that I'm smarter than you.
This little scene nods to the rivalry between cerebral crustaceans and Galvans. It does seem to be a little more one-sided on the cerebral crustaceans part, but you can tell the Galvans have some hatred towards them as well.
Incoming!
Oof, this ship looks a little rough. So they got this ship up here to fire at the ship in front of them to take it out, since nothing on Earth can take out the hybrid ships, but the hybrid ships can take out each other.
That's cool.
I love that they made Gwen be the one to appreciate that. That is pretty trippy, though.
I don't feel so.
This is the second time we've seen Brainstorm's mouth open. Oh, it's even grosser is his vomit is the same color as his brain, as if he's like literally puking his brains out. Except when we cut to Azimuth, where it's now a different color, but ugh, that's disgusting. So this is their homeworld. Seems like they've destroyed it pretty thoroughly, trying to create this galactic war. Yeah, it's a little sad almost, but you know, they are evil. Oh wow, man's passed out a third time now. Just can't seem to catch a break. The distance between all of them changes between the shots.
Reach the Omnitrix.
Why do you need to reach it?
See, this is why you should listen to Azimuth, Ben.
Humongosaur.
He didn't even really need voice command either. He was switching mentally all throughout part 1. Alright, if Metal Kevin can break these shackles easily, why couldn't he reach his hand and absorb the wall behind him? One punch from Humongosaur knocks 2 hybrid back. That's some bullshit.
Take us to your leader.
How ironic. Also, Azimuth's always stuck chilling on someone's shoulder so he can keep up. Poor guy. The Hybrid Council. Is this supposed to be his stomach rotting open?
You are the Earth Vermin, Ben 10.
Even out here, Ben has some street cred. These designs are alright for the big old hybrid masters. Makes sense they'd be a little bit out of shape. And this guy here is definitely the master one.
You're the hybrid top banana.
That's a subtle joke for if y'all know that Dwayne based the hybrid off of bananas.
Call out the attack on Earth. Just like that. Pretty much.
Okay.
Your very existence is an affront to our purity.
He's like, y'all suck so much that your mere existence is bothersome.
Lies. They're attacking because they're dying out.
Now we finally get the true motive of the hybrid. We've seen their plan all throughout the first 2 seasons, but we've never truly known why they do what they do, and now we're about to find out.
Racial purity led to inbreeding, a loss of resistance to disease, and finally sterility.
You know, it's pretty surprising they actually got away with saying inbreeding and sterility. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
But we will not perish alone.
We got Jupiter, Saturn, and Earth, all their monitors.
Not just Earth, every known inhabited planet in this galaxy.
So if it's all gonna happen within an hour, that means the entire plot line of Alien Force so far has been happening on pretty much every major planet in the galaxy, which is crazy. Kind of makes the trio's efforts seem so minuscule in the grand scheme of things. But at the same time, they're the only species that actually made it this far. So despite Earth specifically not being that important in the grand scheme of the hybrids' plans, them attacking Earth was their true downfall.
The fall of Galvin was the signal for our final attack to begin.
Now that's nuts. They did a whole custom animation for Galvin's destruction to display on this monitor, but when we see the scene proper, they just reuse the Pluto explosion.
They are far too powerful to fight.
Unless you used Alien X. I'm just saying, I'm not a huge voucher for Alien X, but you'd think with all the promotions building him up to be such a powerful alien, you'd think he'd come in clutch right about now, just to have the story come full circle. But also, using the Omnitrix to cure all the hybrid, that does make more sense narratively. It's just the introduction of Alien X seems so random, because he doesn't actually become important until like seasons upon seasons later. They probably should have just given him a different 10th alien for now, if he's not even going to come back around in this finale.
We can help them.
Now that's the Ben Tennyson we love.
Omnitrix, can you repair the genetic damage to the hybrid?
Will require all available power.
So curing a handful of DNA aliens drains the Omnitrix entirely, but he can also cure all of the hybrid. That doesn't line up. Nice black stripe though. Yeah, I do like that it's the Omnitrix that solves the problem and not Alien X. Now this is pretty cool. We zoom into the core of the Omnitrix and see the cell of a hybrid. I love how they actually animated the light wrapping around the hybrid accurately. But I do kind of wish that this wave was green, because, you know, Omnitrix. So the wave is able to reach the other hybrid because it's amplified through the jump gate, which sends it back through Earth. But from what we've seen so far, this arch only leads directly to Earth, yet the hybrid claim they're taking over the whole galaxy. So is their whole planet just full of these arches? Also just notice you see all the hybrid ships lined up next to this arch. So they have a ton more ready just in case.
What have you done?
They do look slightly different too. Some of them have these head spikes that they didn't have before, or at least I can't tell if they do. It's a bit too dark. Also, his stomach is now sealed up, so perhaps it really was rotting open when it was over here.
All hybrid and range of transmission are now genetically fused with random species from Omnitrix database.
That's such a cool solution. Although the Omnitrix doesn't need to be in recharge mode after doing this now.
You have made us impure. No!
Rhiney. Ah, just in time too.
This human once cured an ailment of mine by changing my DNA. We can live!
You know, even though Ben cured them, it's really Rhiney that ended the war, because he was able to prove to the hybrid that Ben's solution works. I guess timing really is everything. How come none of that gets translated?
The High Council elects you.
Well, that was immediate. Really hope Rhiney has the right qualifications to run a government.
All hybrid, the war is over. A new future together. Ben Tennyson.
Man, yeah, this is such a good ending. As much as I love the series, if the whole franchise just ended right here, it would be perfect. Man, those ships can fly away a lot faster than they come. And there's Cooper's cloaking device that he built. That's useful.
Fusion grenade.
And as with all of Max's plumber gadgets, it will only be used once.
Since it's not the end of the world, I'm still under curfew.
I think they need some training from an old pro.
And the assemblage of the Max Force. See, this really makes it seem like they're gonna have a lot more prominent roles in the future. And they do come back, not frequently, but like enough to make it worth it. I don't know, I just love this bunch. I wish they got even more focused than what we get. Especially Pierce, he gets the shaft a lot.
I'll always need you, Grandpa.
Aw, I wish he kept that too. That's pretty awesome.
Darkstar.
He snuck away. We'll get him.
Yeah, probably enough excitement for one day, but you know, Darkstar straight up drains people's life, so maybe a little bit more urgency on the getting Darkstar part.
I need a new ride.
You could always ask Paradox to give you another one.
I'll go with you.
You like cars?
Not really. I like you, though.
That's sweet. The only thing that would have made this moment more perfect is if Kevin officially asked Gwen out right here. Because the first two seasons were building towards when is Kevin gonna ask Gwen out, and then in season 3 they're just randomly boyfriend and girlfriend. I get it's implied and you don't need it, but it would have been nice to see, and this would be the perfect moment for them to be an official couple.
Nice working with you again, Ben.
Inverted logo.
Can you re-engage the master control? DNA wave I made seems to have reset the Omnitrix.
What a coincidence. Honestly though, I feel like Azimuth should have given it to him right here. Like, he's seen how capable Ben is with the master control. He might as well just give it to him.
Have fun figuring it out.
But Azimuth just loves fucking with him. Because at this point, Ben's not even arrogant or anything. Like, he's not worthy of it. Azimuth just wants to give Ben a hard time.
Man, I don't recognize any of these guys.
A nice callback to the pilot.
I don't recognize any of these guys. I don't recognize any of these guys.
But it's a little strange hearing him say that when we can't even see any of the holograms. I get that they probably didn't know all of the new aliens they were going to introduce, but maybe they could have kept the Omnitrix off screen or something and just do a close-up on Ben's face so you don't know you actually can't see the holograms. This is just a little weird.
Here we go again.
When you see the Omnitrix dial pop up for Lodestar, you do see his feet right here for a second. Like, they had to crop it out, and then he gets shown. He looks so mysterious here, though. Like, I remember the fandom trying to figure out what the hell this was for the longest time. Still a great ending, though. So I'm gonna do something a little risky with this rating system, and I truly feel like this is the only episode I'm going to do it for, and by all means, if you feel like this isn't fair, call me out in the comments, but I'm just gonna straight up give this episode a 25 out of 25. It's not even just for favoritism or for a lack of wanting to talk about this, but I mean, there's not much I can break down in these categories that I haven't already said in part 1 or throughout this breakdown. The plot wraps up everything nicely. Everything genuinely feels like it all built up to this. The characterizations are a solid 5. The visuals are crazy in this episode. Some weird animation here and there, but there's so much going on, it doesn't matter. And of course it's important. Of course it's entertaining. It is just truly a 25. Thanks, Bruce. It is just truly a 25 out of 25 episode. To try to back up this claim anymore would just be milking the length of the video, which I'm sure we'll all find redundant. But with a finale like this that touches on everything that makes Ben 10 special, ties together a lot of Alien Force and classic series episodes as well. There's at least 4 different episodes of classic that are relevant here. Even the score, you know, there's not a lot of filler tracks inside of here. It's seriously just that good of a finale for Ben 10. I only wish certain parts of it weren't spoiled in the promotions for this episode, so the surprises can be even more surprising. But even if you saw some things coming, the fact that everything fits together so well is what truly makes this one of, if not the best finale in the whole Ben 10 franchise. Now that season 2 is up, let's take a look at some of those charts. While Season 2 had a slightly weaker start than Season 1, they both performed about the same, with Season 2 ending on a much higher note. Although their ratings don't line up perfectly, they are similar enough to be considered the same quality, with Season 2 having 0.1 less than Season 1's 3.6 average. Characterization was another high for Alien Force Season 2. Like the plot, it seemed to dip a little bit in the middle of its run, but it quickly picked itself back up for a perfect 5 for the final 4 episodes. Season 1 did slightly better with an average of 4.4 against Season 2's 4.2 average, but Season 2 stuck the landing and arguably had more memorable character moments than the first season. Visuals is the first category to exceed Season 1, with an average of 3.7 against Season 1's 3.4. Aside from the large quality dip that was Pet Project, this season contains more exciting elements, new powers, and Omnitrix abilities, along with twice the amount of action. Season 1 was very sci-fi noir with its alien mystery, but Season 2 brings back the Ben 10 action we've been craving. Still, it hasn't quite touched the classic series high yet, which was a 4.8. While Season 1 was determined to set up as much of the lore and world of Alien Force as it could, with a mere 2 episodes not making a perfect 5, Season 2 took things easier, allowing itself to have more low-stake character episodes. Some were great, some were a bit bland, but in terms of importance, this is Alien Force's weaker season, averaging a 3.3 against Season 1's 4.4. Entertainment has perhaps been the most consistent category ever since I started these breakdowns, averaging at a 3.5, which is very much in line with every other season, including Classic. Whenever Ben 10 gives us an absolute banger of an episode, the seasonal excitement can be watered down with some mediocre stories here and there. When watching an episode of Ben 10, you really never know what you're gonna get. However, it still exceeds Season 1's average of 3.2, so at least it's improving. Season 1 had a lot of point advantages, with nearly every episode being important, although personally I would still say Season 2 is a bit more enjoyable, but that enjoyment is admittedly built off of Season 1's foundation, so these two seasons really do go hand in hand, as they were originally written to be one giant 26-episode season. While it did bring down the average score for Alien Force, it did boost the series' overall score up to an 18.5. We only got a measly 2 hero times this whole season, with one of them just being an offhanded mention and not an actual battle cry. We haven't had any wrong aliens either, but I'm fine with that. This season proves you don't need that gimmick to tell a good story. And lastly, while Kevin's car did take a few more hits this season with 3 more ticks on the counter, it hasn't quite become the meme yet, but keep your eyes peeled for next season's breakdown. So one of the most memorable parts of this 2-part finale is the fact that Ben gets master control and access to his old aliens. But if you'd notice, the new aliens only show up in Part 1, whereas Part 2 keeps us to the Alien Force 10. Whether or not that was done on purpose, I just felt like it was worth pointing out. Also, I do want to admit, I almost gave the plot for Part 2 a 4 out of 5 instead of a 5 because some things did feel a bit too random, like Max showing up just in time, Rhiney somehow being there, and God knows how he got there. But when I think about it, a lengthy introduction for each one of them would have only slowed things down, and when you're watching the episode, you're not really thinking about that. These episodes do more than enough explanation for a ton of different things, so I can excuse the sudden character appearances for the sake of surprising the audience. We also never seem to find out what that radioactive guano was going to be used for in Grounded.
The DNA aliens down there are rendering it. Power source for what? It's a surprise. The final surprise for the human race.
It's pretty obvious it had something to do with the jump gate, it's just never brought up again, so you have to do some problem solving yourself there in order to fully understand every step of the hybrid invasion. And lastly, there are some storyboards available to look at on the Ben 10 wiki of this episode, most notably an extended Gwen transformation sequence, which presumably was cut for time. You get to see her transform into her Anodite form more elaborately and get a pretty significant shot before she bats the hybrid away. Although personally, whether or not this was cut for time, I think it works better in the final edit so that you don't really see her true Anodite form until Kevin gets to lay eyes on her. It also appears that Swampfire is slightly more ripped up, presumably due to battle damage, which we didn't get in the final episode. And that's all my final thoughts for this. Thank you everyone who's been watching the breakdowns for this long, and I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your April, and as always, keep it fizzy.